And it is the report that is the first listed report in answer 7 of the witness's testimony. It is the diurnal bird raptor migration survey for Republic Wind Farm dated December 2011 and prepared by Ph.D. Mr. Kerlinger, are you familiar with this document?
Yes, I am.
It's one of the reports that you studied for purposes of your testimony, correct?
Yes,
And this is a migration survey.
yes, it is.
Okay. And it was conducted in 2011, is that correct?
Correct.
If you would go to page 2 of the report, under section 2.1, labeled Diurnal Bird Raptor Migration Survey, you see in the paragraph underneath that title the days of the survey.
That was section 2.1 under methods.
Yes. Go about 2/3 of the way down the paragraph.
Due to species-specific differences, is that what you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
All right. Now, according to that sentence, there were 20 days of surveys conducted from March 17 through April 30, and 22 days of surveys completed from September 4 through October 28, 2011, correct?
yes.
Is there a difference in the scope of this migration survey compared to the scope of the passerine migration survey that we discussed previously today?
I'd have to go back and look, but I believe, why don't you let me look for a second?
Sure.
The other one was Exhibit N. Passer migration, I have it.
Okay.
There are differences.
Okay, what are the differences?
First of all, the passerine migration survey to capture morning flight of passerines started at dawn and went until about 10 a.m. This study went from 9 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon.
Are there any other differences in scope?
There may be, I'd have to look more.
Okay. Aren't the birds that were surveyed in Exhibit K broader in nature than the birds that were surveyed in Exhibit N? And maybe to help you out.
I don't,
among
when you say broader, do you mean species-wise?
Yes.
Not really. There are probably more passerine migrants, numbers, in fact, overall numbers and numbers of species, than there are diurnal and raptor species out there in the world.
Well, in Exhibit N, that study evaluated the migrating passerines, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And Exhibit K looks at not only passerines, but raptors and other types of categories of birds as well, right?
yes.
Okay. So does that explain why the report labeled as Exhibit K was performed?
Would you repeat that, please?
Yeah. Is the difference in the scope of the species evaluated the only explanation for the reason why the study in Exhibit K was performed?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
All right, well, I'll try again. Why was the study in Exhibit K performed since Republic Wind had already done the study that is labeled Exhibit N?
Because if they were trying to look for different types of birds, and that's why I mentioned before the 9 to 4 for raptors, that's when they migrate most, and other diurnal birds will migrate in that same period. But in N, these were passerines, and they were looking for passerines engaged in morning flight and making stopovers, and that's far better to do early in the morning from dawn till 10.
You state in your testimony that the methods used to conduct the study in Exhibit K followed the Ohio Department of Natural Resources 2009 guidance document. Is there a protocol in that document that sets a standard or sets a goal with respect to how many point count locations should be used?
I believe there is.
Okay, do you know what that is?
I'd have to look at that, but I think it might be, if I'm not mistaken, it's 2 times the numbers of turbines at a site. But you also have to look at the first page of the ODNR's guidance document from 2009 to look to see if when they talk about the flexibility and they're allowed to change things, and that's how this sample size is different. They're allowed to, they speak with the applicant and arrive at a study plan that's specific to that site and it's best for that site. That's why there is a slight difference there.
So how many point count sites were conducted in the study that's in Exhibit K?
Oh, I'm sorry, I got this backwards. It was the passerine migrant one that I was talking about before. The numbers, this has only 3.
Okay, let me make sure the record's clear on what you just said. With respect to the passerine migration survey, the ODNR 2009 guidance states that there should be 2 monitoring sites for each turbine location, for the number of turbine locations.
I may have mixed that up. I'd like to go back and look at the original ODNR document, because I just don't recall.
Okay. With respect to the diurnal bird raptor migration survey, does the ODNR 2009 guidance provide for the number of monitoring sites that will be used in such a study?
I'd have to go back and look at the guidance document.
Okay. We're going to get that for you here.
Thank you.
Through the wonder of the internet shortly. But as we're looking that up, I'll continue with my questions. Do you have? May I approach the witness?
Yes, you may, but make sure you
Yeah.
show
I'll
counsel
show Council Mr. Moore.
what you're looking at, and maybe you can pull it up too.
It's my iPad, you pulled it up on.
You had it?
No, I just looked it up real quick.
Okay, what did you look up?
2009 ODNR bird guidance.
It's entitled Onshore Bird and Bat Pre- and Post-Construction Monitoring Protocol for Commercial
Got it.
Wind Energy Facilities in Ohio.
May 4th, 2009.
And it's May 4, 2009 date.
I am going to object to be transmitted on my iPad and evidence.
Objection is noted.
Thank you.
Is everyone pulled up this document?
Got one more second round.
Sure.
We're there, thank you.
Okay.
Would you like me to read this?
I'm
I'll
not
ask you some
sure.
questions about it.
Why don't you go look at it and make sure you know what the document is.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have in front of you the 2009 ODNR guidance that we've been talking about?
Yes.
Okay. With respect to passerine migration surveys, does this document refresh your memory as to whether the guidance provides for the number of monitoring sites that are recommended?
The guidance document reads, "The number of sample points will vary with the size and configuration of the proposed facility."
Where are you reading from, the guidance document? Just give us a
I'm reading
paragraph number.
from page 5, 2.2 is the paragraph for the diurnal bird raptor migration.
Okay, so you're reading the provision for the diurnal bird raptor migration survey, right?
Yes.
Okay, because I had asked you about passerine migration, so why don't we go there next? Is there a recommendation with respect to the number of monitoring sites for passerine migration surveys?
One point count location should be established for every 100 hectares of combined forest, shrub, and wooded wetland. However, if the site would require less than 5 survey points, the ODNR will consider eliminating this survey requirement after a field review of habitat quality.
I'm sorry, what page of this document are you reading this from?
I'm sorry. That is the bottom of page 4, where it says passerine migration.
Yeah, I don't think I'm looking at the same document. I guess.
you want me to?
There is another portion farther down.
Yeah, will you come up, will someone come up here and point me to this document? Is this what I thought I?
Google it?
I did.
It's in here. Yeah, that's not it.
Okay. Not at all.
Take it more off record. Nope.
It's okay.
Witness of working on a document. Oh. I mean, practical. Long-term learning, I should have gone for years. Because you weren't ever.
It's fine.
The whole document. Well, this is.
Both say exhibit A, so on top, so that's how I was. Okay, thank you. I am where you are now. Thank you, sir.
Let's go back on the record.
Thank you, Ms. Glenn.
All right, so with respect to the diurnal bird raptor migration survey, which you will find in Exhibit K, how many monitoring sites were used in that project?
I believe it said 3.
Did ODNR waive the survey requirement for diurnal bird raptor migration?
Objection to his, Mr. Van Clay's, he said, did they waive the survey requirement? Dr. Kerlinger just read what the survey requirement is. And I think we need to establish what the survey requirement is before we see if it was waived.
If you could lay a little bit more of a foundation before you ask that particular question.
Yeah, that's foundational, was about 2 questions earlier. But I'll refer the witness back to the ODNR 2009 guidance document. Actually, I misphrased my question. I meant to ask about passerine migration, so let me start over. With regard to the recommendation in the ODNR guidance document of 2009 for passerine migration, as you stated, there's a recommendation of 1 point count location for every 100 hectares of combined forest, shrub, and wooded wetland. Did I characterize that accurately?
Yes,
Okay. And then the guidance goes on to say, however, if the site would require fewer than 5 survey points, the ODNR Division of Wildlife will consider eliminating this survey requirement after a field review of habitat quality. Do you see that in the document?
yes.
So my question to you is, did the ODNR Division of Wildlife provide Republic Wind with such a waiver?
The ODNR signed off on the protocol. I don't know if they specifically mentioned that detail during their meetings.
Well, the Division of Wildlife didn't tell Republic Wind, to your knowledge, that it did not have to do this survey, did it?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
Are you aware of any statement by ODNR to Republic Wind that it did not have to do this survey?
Objection. I believe he basically answered that question, which was, he said that ODNR signed off on the protocol.
That's not the same thing. I asked if there was a waiver.
I'll allow the question.
It's, from this report, they didn't waive the survey.
Okay.
So from your perspective, the protocol that was used was consistent with ODNR's requirements for these types of surveys?
Yes,
Did you do a calculation to determine whether there were enough monitoring locations to establish a monitoring location for every 100 hectares of combined forest, shrub, and wooded wetland?
no,
Go to figure 1 of Exhibit K, which you'll find a couple of pages after page 8 of the document. And tell me when you found it.
yes,
All right, figure 1 shows the locations for the monitoring sites, correct?
yes,
And do you see that figure 1 also shows the footprint of the project area for the Republic Wind project that existed at the time that this study was performed?
yes,
It's not the same footprint as the project that exists today, correct?
no, it isn't exactly the same.
Do you know whether any of the monitoring sites that were used in this study are located within the present-day footprint of the Republic Wind facility?
I've not compared the maps,
So you don't know?
no.
If I could ask one clarifying question. With respect to figure 1 that we were just looking at, can you explain to me the difference between point 2-1 and point 2-2? Are those two different survey locations?
I'd have to look at the text.
I'm curious as to why they use 2-1 and 2-2 versus just having them numbered as 2 and then 3.
don't know why they did that. I'm looking in the results now, and I can't find an explanation for that.
So the results of the survey included in this report showed it's only for 3 monitoring sites.
I believe so.
But isn't it 4 if you count
2.2?
0.1, 2-1, 2-2, 2-3?
It's 4 if you count 2-2. I don't see you do 2-3.
I'm sorry, 0.3.
Oh, yeah, it's 4. I don't know if they use data from all of those sites or how they divided it. I'd have to look at this more carefully. And I may not know because there may not be an explanation here.
I'd like to mark the next exhibit. I think we're up to 14.
Yes. And what might that exhibit be?
This is a document entitled Passerine Migration Surveys for the Emerson West Wind Project, Seneca County, Ohio, dated August 16, 2016 through May 31, 2017. Actually, that's the range of dates on the top of the document. And then the date of the document itself is January 26, 2018.
Shall be so marked.
And for the record, Your Honor, this is one of the wildlife surveys that was mentioned in the witness's testimony, but which is not contained in the docket at the present time.
Okay, and just for the purposes of cross-referencing, if you could point me where in his testimony this specific exhibit would be.
Page 7. Towards the middle of the page.
So it's the first full bullet point.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir? Thank you, sir.
Do you recognize the document that has been labeled as LR Exhibit 14?
Yes,
And that is the document, that's a document that is listed on page 7 of your testimony.
they're the same.
And this is another migration survey, correct?
It is.
Excuse
And
me for-
looking-
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I have a copy of this same study, and it's missing a page, the last page, at least the copy you gave me.
I have electronically.
I have a copy of what
Oh,
Mr.
okay.
Van Clayton had, I'm just saying, it's,
You got
I
the
haven't
same
gone through
last
the
page.
entire document, but I can
Oh.
tell it's, this copy is missing the last page that I have.
Go ahead and save this,
I don't know that, Dr. Kerlinger.
Is the last page supposed to be the appendix A?
Yes.
I know. That's not the last, this was my last page.
You can have my copy, Council.
So
I have-
Okay.
I just want to make sure what's in
No.
the record is complete.
Yeah, it seems that all of the copies except for mine are missing that last page.
I have copies.
Oh,
They have your bait stamp on it when they were produced to you, so I don't know.
Sure.
Feel free to use it as,
Yeah, if you'd like to substitute that, that would be great.
Okay, I'm gonna give this back.